A grand slam of a deal. The contract to keep a Blue Jays superstar slugger in Toronto.
Tonight, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. reportedly signing an extension worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Good evening. The Blue Jays have made Vladimir Guerrero Jr. one of the richest players in baseball history.
The slugging first baseman has reportedly agreed to a 14-year extension worth $500 million. CTV Sean Lee Thong joins us live from outside Rogers Centre with details of the deal and reaction from fans. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, when spring training started, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. said that the two sides were very far apart. Now, here we are, just 10 games into the season. They've closed that gap, and it looks like it's the team who got there.
Here's a challenge system. Guerrero smokes one the other way.
It's the biggest contract in Blue Jays history.
Wow. 14 years, $500 million.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. posting this to his Instagram today, putting to rest any rumors of the Jays star leaving.
They might not have been able to afford it, but they probably couldn't afford not to do it either.
The 26-year-old is coming off one of his best years ever, winning a Silver Slugger award with 30 home runs and a .322 batting average last year.
Vladdy got the number that he wanted, and the reality is he probably could have gotten that and more if he had gone to free agency.
Blue Jays fans had been worried when the two sides failed to reach a deal prior to spring training. Guerrero had told the team he intended to test out free agency after the season. This deal could make him a Blue Jay for life.
If he stays up to the end of the deal to 2039, I mean, the Gardner might be done by then.
There had been pressure on the Blue Jays front office after losing out on signing Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto the last two off seasons. This deal is the third largest in Major League Baseball.
Crazy amount for nowadays, especially with everything that's going on.
I think good talent should be rewarded. Now, that's a lot of money for sure.
I think the $500 million could be better used elsewhere.
I should have played harder when I was younger. That's what I think.
Now the question becomes the team's other pending free agent, shortstop Bo Bichette, and Steve Phillips says it may be tough to find enough money, but it is possible.
And build around these two young superstars for the future of the organization. So I don't think that it closes the door on Bichette just yet.
So the team's in Boston right now, so fans are going to have to wait about a week until they get back and welcome Vladimir Guerrero with his new contract. To give you some context on the money, when the Skydome, or now Rogers Centre, was built, it cost $570 million. Reporting live, I'm Sean Lee Thong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. To breaking news tonight, and a serious multi-vehicle crash in Etobicoke.
We're live over the scene at Islington Avenue and Lakeshore Boulevard. It is a large area. The damage and the debris left behind significant. CTV's Beth McTonnell joins us live from on the ground with the very latest. What can you tell us, Beth?
Michelle, Nathan, I can tell you there are at least 9 damaged vehicles here on Lakeshore, just east of Islington. It happened shortly after 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I want you to have a look here at the scene. You can see there is a white Jaguar right in the middle there, and Toronto police say a man was driving a Jaguar at a high rate of speed. He hit several vehicles, and we understand 3 people were sent to hospital. Paramedics say 1 to a trauma center, 2 others to a local hospital. Now, I was able to speak with a local business owner, Andy Dinner, who was out on the street just getting a soup at the time this happens, and he says he saw the Jaguar going on the wrong side of the road at a very high rate of speed. He couldn't say for sure, but really thought it would be over 100 kilometers an hour. And when he looked over, he says he saw the Jaguar in the air at one point, flipping over, and cars on both sides of the street were just jutting out of the way. Here is more of what police have to say.
From that collision, we learned that a white SUV struck a motor vehicle and failed to remain. That white SUV continued eastbound on Lakeshore Boulevard West, and between 6th Street and 5th Street struck a number of vehicles.
Okay, so the witness that I was speaking to, Andy Dinner, he says that at some point the Jaguar hit the blue truck and things kind of quieted down at that point. Police say a 31-year-old man has been arrested and charged with dangerous operation of a vehicle. As you can see, Lakeshore is closed, and with the extent of the investigation involved here, I believe it will be closed for some time. Reporting live, I'm Beth McTonnell. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Still ahead, 5 suspects wanted for a home invasion find themselves boxed in and on the run from police. The dramatic GTA takedown in minutes. But first, more mayhem on the markets.
Stocks once again taking a hit as investors brace for the broad impact of Trump's tariffs, personal finances, and fears of a recession on the line. CTV's Mike Walker joins us live from Bay Street tonight with that story. Mike.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, it was a roller coaster ride on the stock market today, with stocks plunging and then rallying later in the afternoon. But that does very little to quell concerns of many investors over the potential impact of Trump's tariffs on inflation as well as a recession.
From the opening bell, another volatile day on global markets amid the U.S. president's sweeping global tariffs. The roller coaster ride too much for some investors to stomach.
Trying to avoid it. Don't want to see it. I think there's a lot more pain to come.
There's a ton of uncertainty, and that's the problem, right? Is that the market hates uncertainty.
Global markets plunged for a third straight day after last week's two-day meltdown. At one point, the Japan and Taiwan markets briefly paused trading. Meanwhile, wild swings on the North American markets amid rumors Trump would pause tariffs. The White House dismissed those rumors. Markets like the TSX bounced back late today, but are still down.
It's not fun going through it. It's a bit of a gut check, right? But ultimately it comes down to the companies that you own and what you're invested in.
Despite the turmoil in the markets, Trump has doubled down on his global tariffs and plans to meet with world leaders to negotiate new trade deals.
We have many countries that are coming to negotiate deals with us, and they're going to be fair deals, and in certain cases they're going to be paying substantial tariffs.
With the global trade war escalating,
what do you do?
Many worry about the impact on their personal investments, including retirement funds.
Still hurts, right? Luckily, I'm not retiring in the next 5 years.
Goldman Sachs warns the tariffs may have caused irreversible damage.
The most difficult part about this all is that this president was supposed to be a business-friendly president. So far, unfortunately, we're not seeing that, and the market's telling us that people have been caught off guard with such a steep decline.
As concern continues to mount over a looming recession.
In Canada, economists have been predicting that a recession would be an inevitable result of Mr. Trump's attacks on our export industries. 3/4 of our exports go to the U.S., and the export sector makes up 20% or so of our total GDP. So there's no way to avoid that in the medium run.
Experts say the next thing to watch out for is inflation.
And despite stocks ending the day higher from where they started, the main index here in Toronto ended the day down about 1.5%. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle, back to you.
Wonder what tomorrow will bring. Thank you, Mike. Also tonight, the province provides tax relief for businesses, but there are calls to do more for workers to soften the impact of Trump's tariffs. Let's have a peek outside at this hour. We've lost some of that sunshine from the start of this Monday as clouds bring the possibility of rain or even flurries. Let's bring in Jessica Smith. Quite picturesque, even with the clouds there. What are you seeing right now on the radar?
We're watching the system that's kind of been cooking itself up throughout the day, making its way across the Great Lakes, bringing snow for some, wind for others, and rain for the great majority. So for us here in the GTA, falling mostly as rain as we head into the early part of our evening, so it's knocking on the door. First the cloud cover, and then the showers will move in as we head into the evening. Nothing super substantial, but still of note. And we're looking at a number of winter weather travel advisories in place along the eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. A snowfall warning in towards Parry Sound. And for our friends just north of the city, kind of Vaughan and north, they're looking at some really strong wind gusts, 80 kilometers an hour or more as we head through tonight and into the day tomorrow. But it is mild, at least for now, before temperatures take a dip as we head in towards this evening, and it gets cold and it stays cold. But just for at least a day. Tonight, dropping down to -11, it will feel like -13, and those northwesterly winds are going to be biting. Your full forecast coming up. Right now, back to Michelle and Nathan.
Thanks, Jess. The province is taking action to try and help Ontario businesses hurt by Trump's tariffs.
Today, the Ford government announcing a plan for relief and support. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with the details. Siobhan.
Well, the finance minister says that employers are going through a period of transition right now, and the measures introduced today are designed to prevent layoffs.
With no sign of sunnier skies on the trade front, Ontario's finance minister is announcing a lifeline for businesses to get them through a rocky period.
$9 billion of those taxes that are provincially administered, companies can defer them for up to 6 months.
That includes some taxes businesses pay on alcohol, gas, and employee health programs. The Workplace Safety and Insurance Board is also issuing $2 billion in rebates to businesses.
That's going to be very important to them to manage their liquidity and cash flow.
Bethlen Falvey says we saw good take-up by businesses on these kinds of measures in the early days of the pandemic.
We don't want them laying off workers, and we want stability, so this provides financial tools to get that stability.
The help comes on the first day of a 2-week pause at Windsor's Stellantis auto plant. What comes after that is murky.
It's the not knowing and the lack of control over it. Usually we can bargain our way through something, but in this case, it's in other people's hands.
The NDP's Shadow Minister of Labour is gratified to see tax deferrals, but cautions WSIB shouldn't be used as a slush fund.
While this system is supposed to help injured workers get back on their feet, continues to deny workers compensation for being injured in the workplace.
The Premier insists his government has provided direct help to workers.
We just gave $3 billion to workers, $200 rebate check.
West would like to see more aid for Stellantis workers and those suffering under a new trade regime.
How do we swoop in to ensure that they don't lose their rental space or their mortgage payments? How are we helping workers who are being directly affected by these tariffs?
Speaking in Windsor, the Canadian Labour Congress is urging banks and lenders to show some empathy for those whose lives have been upended.
We need to allow deferrals on mortgages, on car loans, on personal loans, on credit cards right across the board. We need to ease the terms and extend the duration of loans.
Doug Ford says automakers aren't pulling the plug on major investments in places like Alliston and St. Thomas.
They're still on the go. I spoke to Ford as well. They're continuing their construction over in Oakville.
Adding that more investment is coming despite an uncertain future.
We don't know yet when the spring budget will be tabled, but the finance minister says it will include aid for the short and longer term. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Siobhan. A major closure of the Gardiner Expressway has been delayed. One lane was supposed to close today between Park Lawn and Grand Avenue, but that has now been pushed back just over a week to April 16th. It's part of the Gardiner Expressway Strategic Rehabilitation Plan, and it will last until May of 2026.
We turn to the dramatic arrest of 5 people wanted in a home invasion investigation in Richmond Hill.
York Regional Police tracking the suspects down. The entire takedown documented from above by a police helicopter. CTV's John Musselman reports.
Go take the beamer. This York Regional Police helicopter video shows police boxing in, then chasing down 5 suspects wanted in connection with an alleged home invasion in Richmond Hill last month. Jags on the move. Watch as one of the cars attempts to flee police. It appears to get stuck. The scene is in Mississauga on Saturday night near Matheson Boulevard and Creekbank Road. The suspects take off on foot, but police, with the assistance of the K-9 unit, are able to track them down. We got all 5 in custody. Nice. Investigators say they responded to that home invasion on March 18th. 3 masked men forced their way into a home and demanded the keys before reversing the car out through the closed garage door.
Fast forward to April 5th, our holdup unit, along with members of our emergency response unit, K-9 unit, air support unit, and mobile and investigative support units, were conducting investigation into that home invasion on March 18th and subsequently arrested 5 individuals in Mississauga.
Police say 4 men and a youth have been charged with multiple offenses. 3 of the accused were wanted by other police agencies. Police also recovered a loaded firearm when they made the arrests.
This is extremely dangerous. We're seeing offenders stealing these high-end, powerful vehicles. They're operating them in dangerous manners throughout the GTA. And as I said, in a lot of the cases, they're armed with firearms. As we've seen during our arrest on April 5th, the loaded firearm was recovered upon takedown.
Jag done. Lots of runners, lots of runners. Investigators say some of the accused were out on separate release orders or probation for unrelated offenses. Anyone with information is asked to contact York Regional Police. John Musselman, CTV News.
Some tense moments in an Etobicoke neighborhood this morning. Toronto police and other emergency crews were called to the area of Judge Road and Bering Avenue for reports of a suspicious package. This was just south of Kipling and Bloor. Members of the explosive disposal unit brought in a robot to check out and dispose of that package. Police say this was out of an abundance of caution and there was no risk to public safety.
A legal challenge against a new provincial law banning supervised consumption sites was briefly back in court this morning. CTV's Natalie Johnson has the latest on the legal battle.
Less than 2 weeks after the province's supervised consumption sites were granted a legal lifeline, allowing them to stay open for now until the court battle is settled. The judge called both sides back today to ensure all the facts were on the table.
This is a charter challenge. People's charter rights are being violated. People are going to die. People are dying. And that's the message this government needs to hear.
The Ford government last year banned supervised drug consumption sites from operating within 200 meters of schools and childcare centers, giving them the option to transition into treatment hubs instead. Proponents of the consumption sites took the case to court, winning an injunction, but without provincial funding for consumption services, 9 of 10 agreed to accept the government offer to become treatment centers.
We're investing over $560 million to give people help, give them the opportunity, to give them shelter, to get them back on their feet, find gainful employment for them. So, the heart hubs are 10 times better than the safe injection sites.
It's actually a pretty stark change if you go to South Riverdale, like the drug dealing in particular around the site, and even we've had a few warm days, and usually when it gets warm you tend to see more open drug use around, especially around our site, and I haven't seen any.
The judge today questioning whether the court had heard enough evidence on the reasons why 9 of the 10 sites had proceeded to close.
I do think that there's information that could help with the decision, not about the law itself, but about the ultimate impact of these laws. The ultimate impact of government policy is that people are not getting care.
The applicants arguing that the government is playing politics with people's lives, but a court ruling could take months. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
Library workers have ratified a 4-year deal with the city. Members of CUPE Local 4948 strongly supported the deal in a weekend vote. The contract secures wage increases, better working conditions, and job security for roughly 2,300 full and part-time workers with the Toronto Public Library. The deal will now go to the city's library board for ratification.
It's now 3 weeks until the federal election, and the latest Nanos polling shows the gap between the Liberals and Conservatives is narrowing.
For a closer look now at the latest numbers and the latest promises from the leaders, here's CTV's Colton Prowl.
The first tanker arrived ready to fill up at Canada's only large-scale liquid natural gas export facility last week. Now, Pierre Poilievre is promising to rapidly increase the country's ability to build this kind of infrastructure.
One desk called the Rapid Resource Project Office will handle all regulatory approvals across all levels of government so businesses don't have to waste time navigating.
Poilievre says his government would only require one environmental and regulatory approval for projects, with the goal to complete the approval process within a year. On Vancouver Island, the Liberals promising new marine protections and more national parks. But as the markets quake after Donald Trump's tariffs, Mark Carney also offering more support for seniors, including a 1-year boost to guaranteed income supplements.
These people are on fixed incomes. They don't, in general, have the ability to work. And this boost will help them to weather the storm.
The NDP continued their housing focus, promising to build 3 million homes by 2030.
First of all, we're going to double the Housing Accelerator Fund and make it permanent. We're going to call it the Canada Homes Transfer.
Housing has been a key component of the NDP campaign that has struggled to pick up support. New polling from Nanos Research shows a tightening race at the top, with just a 5-point gap between the Liberals and Conservatives, while the NDP continue to flounder at lows the party hasn't seen in decades.
The Bloc had their eyes on the arts, increasing funding, cutting taxes, and modernizing the public broadcaster, aiming to split the CBC from its French counterpart, Radio-Canada. Colton Prowl, CTV News, Ottawa.
Also in Ottawa, the government's Privy Council office said today China has been creating false narratives online about Mark Carney. Officials say the fake information appeared on the most popular news account on the Chinese social media platform WeChat. The messaging focused on Carney's experience and credentials in a bid to reach Chinese audiences, including communities living in Canada. Intelligence officials have linked the account in question to the Chinese Communist Party, but the Privy Council says the effort will not affect the course of the April 28th federal election. Canada will raise its concerns with the developer of WeChat.
In the Gaza Strip, hospital officials say more than 30 people were killed in a series of Israeli attacks. 6 United Nations agencies operating in the territory called for an urgent renewal of the ceasefire. They say the Israeli blockade has left Gaza's population trapped, bombed, and starved again. The agencies insist acts of war are being committed in Gaza that show an utter disregard for human life. They want to see civilians protected, aid delivered, and the hostages released. Elsewhere, the French president's office says the leaders of the U.S., Egypt, Jordan, and France spoke by phone today to discuss the situation in Gaza.
The king has arrived in Italy for a 4-day state visit. He arrived in Rome today for a visit that will highlight the close links between the UK and Italy. The king will become the first British monarch to address the Italian parliament. He will also meet with the Italian president and premier and travel to Ravenna to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Adriatic city's liberation by Allied forces.
Coming up, calling all scientists. Have you considered coming to Canada? Toronto's University Health Network is spending millions to recruit researchers, including those who may be out of a job and looking to move north.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, when you buy a car, you might be offered gap insurance. It can pay off your loan if you owe more than your car is worth. But one couple bought gap insurance and still owes $8,000 after their car burned in a fire. All of that story, that's just ahead.
It's been a relatively seasonal start to the work and school week. We should be around 10 degrees for this time of year. We didn't quite get there today, but still very comfortable. Into the day tomorrow, a significantly different story. Some sunshine, but it gets cold and it stays cold. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you buy a new or used car, a dealer may try to sell you additional add-ons like warranties, rust protection, or gap insurance.
Gap insurance could help you if your car is stolen or written off in an accident, but not all policies are created equal. Pat Foran has our story on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. An Etobicoke family bought a vehicle 3 years ago and paid extra for gap insurance. Their SUV caught fire and was deemed a total loss. They thought the gap insurance would pay off their car loan, and they were shocked when it didn't.
When it happened, did you think, oh, well, thank goodness we got gap insurance to cover the difference?
100%. Peter Wollaston and Shanika Dean bought a Volvo XC90 in June of 2022. They liked the SUV very much, but unfortunately, in May of last year, it started smoking and then caught on fire.
All of a sudden, it burst into flames. This was at Square One's parking lot, and it just from there, and basically burnt down to a crisp.
Their insurance company cut them a check for the vehicle, but there was an outstanding auto loan still owing of $8,000. They had purchased gap insurance when they bought the car and paid a premium of just over $2,800. Gap insurance is guaranteed asset protection in the event your vehicle is totaled or stolen. It pays off your loan if you owe more than your car is worth. When their SUV was written off, they were glad they had purchased the extra coverage.
I figured whatever the primary insurance wasn't going to cover, the gap insurance would cover the gap. But now we're seeing that's not the case.
The gap insurance policy paid only $1,404, meaning they would have to cover the rest.
$8,000 is a lot to be out of pocket for something that you purchase thinking you're protecting yourself, right?
I want $8,000. You know, I want them to cover the gap.
We reached out to the gap insurance company, Northbridge Insurance. We were told not all policies are alike, but a spokesperson said, "We sympathize with our customer for the loss of their vehicle. We have reviewed the specific claim and determined an adjustment to the claim amount is required." Northbridge added an additional $5,800 to the couple's claim, which almost completely covered the gap, which was good news for them.
It's better than having to pay the $8,000. Thank you, CTV, for helping me solve my problem. Thank you.
And when buying a vehicle, you maybe pitch gap insurance. The policies can have big differences, and you may not even need it. But if you have a loan for more than your car is worth, it might be worth considering. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, looking at the forecast now, not the best week, not the worst week. We did have some sunshine earlier today, but moving forward, things are just kind of average, I guess.
I feel like it's quintessential April. I was so tempted over the weekend to do a little spring cleaning where you put away the hats and mitts.
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't, because there's flurries there's the cold temps, it gets warmer, there's a lot going on.
You have to dress for walking on the sunny side of the street. You have to dress for walking on the shady side of the street because the temperature difference is vast. And honestly, this is just spring in Canada. You have to pack for spring, summer, winter, fall, all kind of in the month of April. We get almost everything today. We get the sunshine, the wind, the cold, and the chance of some messy weather. Now, we are watching a low pressure system cooking up and making its way across, and it will continue to kind of push its way in as we head into this early part of our evening. It's not a massive low pressure system by any stretch, but it is going to be a turn of events as we head into the evening. As the winds pick up, we watch for snow for our friends along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, and for us, a little bit of rain as we head into the early part of our evening, potentially changing over to flurries as winds become northwesterly. Right now, though, still not bad. Cloudy out there, 4 degrees, 3 through Windsor, 8 in Ottawa, but anywhere north of Sudbury, they've already tapped into that much colder air that will eventually make its way towards us. Tonight, it is chilly. -3, feeling like -11. The chance of flurries is very small. For us here in the GTA, you might see a light dusting, so nothing you're going to have to shovel, but a good idea to still drive always according to the road and weather conditions. Don't put the jacket away just yet, or the gloves. You're still going to need them. As we head into the day tomorrow, a whole lot of sunshine, but nowhere near seasonal. We should be at 10. We'll sit at -1, and it is a cool northwesterly wind throughout the day, so getting yourself ready for work. If you have kiddos in your life, they're going to need maybe the winter jacket throughout the day tomorrow. That sunshine can be deceiving this time of year. There's that system that's continued to push its way across. It is prompting some weather advisories along those eastern shorelines, Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. So that's London, Goderich, Owen Sound, Barrie. For areas north of Toronto, you're looking at more in the way of wind being your issue. So Vaughan and north, you're looking at the potential of 80K gusts. Parry Sound, they're looking at a snowfall warning. So yes, we are very much into spring, but we're not out of the woods when it comes to that transitional weather, as that cold air from the north, the warm air from the south meet in the middle. And right in that intersection, it's just a whole lot of mess. There's that low that's pushed its way across, the bulk of it really north of us, but we've kind of seen the trickle effect for us here in the GTA. Cloud first, then as rain. Behind it, that trough is that chance. That blue dotted line is just that kind of extension off of that low, bringing the chance of light flurries tonight. And it's gone by the time we head into the day tomorrow. We've already seen some very light showers kind of make their way through. As we head into the early part of our evening, just some streamers off of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. We get into the start of the day tomorrow with a little cloud cover, but then high pressure moves in, and it's just a whole lot of sunshine for everybody. A welcome break from the active weather we had last week and to start the week this week. As we head into Wednesday, the cloud cover rolls in early, and then we keep an eye on a system south of the border set to bring a bit of a rain-snow mix as we head in towards the end of the week. But for today, it wasn't too bad, as Nathan mentioned. As we get into the day tomorrow, as Michelle mentioned, don't put the gloves away. You're still going to need them. It's cold but sunny. We head into our Thursday. There's that chance of messy weather, but it's short-lived. And by the time we get to the weekend, it's looking pretty nice. Michelle, I'll send things back over to you.
Thanks, Tess. Well, one sign of warmer days, the city will be carrying out controlled burns at High Park in South Humber this month to help protect its ecosystems. Officials say the burns will consist of deliberately set and carefully controlled fires, which burn low to the ground. The fires will target dried leaves, twigs, and grass, and are aimed at stimulating growth. An exact date is dependent on the weather, and will be chosen 24 to 48 hours in advance based on the forecast.
Also tonight, no joke, a college program setting the stage for a career in comedy. We catch up with students getting lessons in laughs. The University Health Network has just launched a new ambitious project aimed at luring world-class researchers.
Bright minds who are suddenly finding themselves out of work amid President Trump's overhaul are invited to take their talents to Toronto. CTV's Pauline Chan reports.
They looked like a hockey team, but what they're really championing is world-class scientific research.
Our commitment to recruit 100 new world-class early career scientists to join the amazing team of researchers and those who support them that are already making global impact at UHN, U of T.
It's an ambitious project to take advantage of the current instability at American universities and research centers and lure the top minds around the world to the University Health Network and Canada.
The U.S., for many years, for decades, for over 50 years, has kind of shown the world what investment in research can do, how it fuels discoveries, how it fuels new medicines, how it fuels the creation of new companies. And at the moment, the U.S. is really on hold.
The initiative has secured $15 million in private donations for the first half of the recruitment, and it's already caught the eye of some of the top medical minds south of the border, like Dr. Wes Wilson. Canadian by birth, Wilson was named one of the top 40 under 40 in cancer research for his work on the revolutionary CAR-T cell therapy.
It can cost millions and millions of dollars to research these things. Trump's first major cuts, the $6 billion to the National Institute of Health, has dramatically impacted biomedical research across the United States, not just cancer research, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, everything. My hospital alone lost $241 million from those initial sets of cuts.
Would he be interested in moving back to Canada?
I'm very much thinking about it, not only due to the current cutbacks from the NIH here in the United States and federal funding. Also, it's a very unique climate to be a Canadian in the United States.
UHN is focusing on research which will also have the potential to fuel economic growth in Canada. UHN says the recruitment starts tomorrow, and it's already identified several areas of priority. They include neurology, urology, otolaryngology or head and neck, vascular surgery, genetic medicine, and respiratory medicine. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The first batch of performers for next summer's CNE concert series has been announced.
I catch myself staring at your face when you're not awake. I just can't help it.
Sean Desmond will be the first to take the stage on August 15th. Fans of the Toronto pop singer will likely be treated to such favorites as Electric and Shook. He will be followed by Loverboy on August 16th and rock band July Talk August 22nd. Other performers include Mariana's Trench, Dean Brody, and Three Dog Night. All shows are free with admission to CNE grounds.
From Mike Myers to Jim Carrey, Canadians have made people laugh in this country and around the world.
But how do you get there? As CTV's Andrea Case reports, students are learning the craft at Humber College.
School is a laughing matter for students in Humber College's comedy program.
The experience is like nothing else when you're up there performing and you have everyone's attention and then you get that laughter moment. It's just like nothing else compares.
I love Canada. I love the freedom here. Yeah, but it comes with a course. Yeah, the rent is so high.
Hitting the stage at the iconic Yuck Yucks Comedy Club in Toronto, the students are all ages from all across the country and beyond. 43-year-old Eddie Tony is from Hong Kong.
I fly all the way here to do this course. Yeah, I'm very committed.
He's had to overcome his shyness and learn English in pursuit of his dream.
Like, I don't know how to parallel park, but I will explain the economy to you.
Vern Bird is non-binary from Thunder Bay. Comedy, she says, is like therapy.
The problems never end, let me tell you. And also, I don't think I ever solve any of my problems. I think I just, I'm able to laugh at them.
You see, like, all the media where, like, the fat kid's funny. And then you also kind of have that negative body image that you want to work to somehow have something going for yourself. And for me, that was comedy.
Conan Mighton even used his routine to come out to his parents.
I had a joke about being bisexual, hadn't really talked to them before that, and then I did that joke in my set, and then afterwards, my dad was like, "That was a funny joke. Are you bisexual?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we got dinner. It was pretty cool with that.
Humber's 2-year writing, comedy, and performance program is celebrating 25 years, but next year it's going to change. It'll include all of that, but it'll be 1 year with an emphasis on social media and technology.
It doesn't help that I wear like all this, just all black all the time, excluding my face. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that a second time.
Graham Taylor's interests lie offstage as a comedy writer.
It's still less than the Prime Minister.
I really don't enjoy doing stand-up. It petrifies me.
Tai Chi is from Japan.
I wish I was named Kung Fu. You know, Kung Fu is fun and exciting, but Tai Chi is just...
A course offering everything you need to know on stage or off, whether you get the laughs or write them. Andrea Case, CTV News.
After the break, taking subway service to the next level. The TTC reveals designs for new platforms at Bloor Yonge Station, along with several upgrades, the billion-dollar transit expansion plan when we return.
Vladdy got the number that he wanted, and the reality is he probably could have gotten that and more if he had gone to free agency.
Updating our top stories, Blue Jays first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has reportedly signed the third largest contract in MLB history. It's believed the deal is for 14 years and worth $500 million. The slugger is in the final year of his current contract and would have become a free agent this offseason without an extension.
A white SUV struck a motor vehicle and failed to remain. That white SUV continued eastbound on Lakeshore Boulevard West, and between 6th Street and 5th Street struck a number of vehicles.
3 people were taken to hospital following a crash in Etobicoke today. Investigators say one of the cars was driving at a high rate of speed and hit several other vehicles. A 31-year-old man has been charged.
Don't want them laying off workers, and we want stability, so this provides financial tools to get that stability.
The province will provide about $11 billion in relief and support for businesses affected by the latest U.S. tariffs. Companies will be allowed to defer some provincially administered taxes for up to 6 months. Taxes businesses pay on alcohol, gas, and employee health programs are included. The Workplace Safety and Insurance Board is also issuing $2 billion in rebates.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
Trading took a beating today amid a Trump trade war. Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg has more on the impact on the markets.
Hello there. There was a massive swing in the markets today, with America's tech-loaded NASDAQ Composite Index actually ending slightly higher. But that was after stocks dropped yet again in the morning on fears that U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs will hamstring the world economy. The S&P 500 index of big American companies rose during the day, but it finished down 0.25%. Investors sought bargains during the session. The S&P 500 is down almost 14% so far in 2025, and the Nasdaq has lost more than 19%. Toronto stocks dropped about 1.5% today. Some market players think the White House will succumb to pressure from Wall Street and back off from the trade war. Billionaire investors Bill Ackman and Stanley Druckenmiller have slammed the expansive global tariffs, and JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon urged a quick resolution of the trade conflict. The Canadian dollar traded at 70.22 US cents, down a fraction. WTI oil, the North American benchmark, was at $60.70, down $1.29, and it traded near 4-year lows. Western Canadian Select oil, by our latest fix, was at $52.57, down $4.57. And the TSX Composite ended at 22,859.46, down just over 334 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
Meantime, the central bank says an increased number of Canadians think there's a higher chance of a recession in the next year. About 32% of companies surveyed by the Bank of Canada expect a recession over the next 12 months. A similar survey of Canadian consumers shows 66.5% of them also seeing a recession ahead. The surveys were conducted in February before last Wednesday's announcement by U.S. President Donald Trump of tariffs on almost all American trading partners. The central bank also says around 40% of Canadian firms expect lower sales growth if tariffs are implemented. Canadian manufacturing exporters have cut their sales expectations for 2025.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Upgrades are in the works for Toronto's busiest subway station.
The contract to oversee the rehabilitation of Bloor Yonge's been awarded, and as CTV's Allison Hurst reports, hopes are high to improve the transit experience for riders.
A Mississauga company is gearing up to take on the next phase of the Bloor Yonge Station expansion project and its $1.5 billion budget.
Our plan is to completely revamp
particularly down on the line 2 Bloor-Yonge portion of the station, where we will have 2 separate platforms, similar to what was done at Union Station, where we took 1 central platform and created 2 platforms. So that's really the biggest piece of work.
Canadian-Murray joint venture will now enter a 2-year development services phase. The station is the busiest on the TTC and originally opened in 1954. This expansion project is supposed to meet both current and future ridership. Currently, about 67 million riders pass through every year.
You're looking at an extra 20 million people a year going through Bloor-Yonge Station, by 2029. Those are significant numbers.
Included in the plans are new and revamped platforms on Line 2, an expansion of Line 1 platforms both directions, also new elevators, escalators, and stairs, as well as a new accessible entrance and exit on the south side of Bloor Street East. The updates are necessary for Fatima Ibrahimji, who finds the accessibility of this station frustrating.
In order to get through the station, you have to change like 2 or 3 elevators. That honestly is one of the worst things I've ever seen in any transit place. So yeah, maybe if they can improve that, because it takes me like 5 minutes just to change from one line to another and wait, when the elevators are busy.
Adding platform edge doors to the project is currently unfunded, so that could add to the $1 billion price tag.
Seems like quite a lot of money.
It is a big price tag, but I love improvements to the city, and we attract a lot of tourists every year, and why not be first class, world class?
I don't think it needs to be changed.
It will be great then for who's taking subway every day.
Work is already underway, but major construction is supposed to start in 2027. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
The Toronto Raptors' 3-game losing streak is over.
Misses right at the iron.
Toronto beat the Nets 120-109 in Brooklyn yesterday afternoon. Rookie Jonathan Mogbo led the Raps with 17 points. They'll be back on the court Wednesday to face the Charlotte Hornets. There are just 3 games left in the season.
This man, Insigne, who finds Bernardeschi. Bernardeschi turning. Bernardeschi still. Oh, my goodness.
On the pitch, Toronto FC were looking for their first win of the season against Lionel Messi and Inter Miami yesterday. They took the lead at the end of the first half, but less than 3 minutes later, Messi tied it just before halftime. The game ended in a 1-1 draw. Toronto next plays Minnesota United on Saturday.
March Madness will come to an end tonight. The Florida Gators and Houston Cougars face each other in the National Championship in San Antonio. The Gators beat the Auburn Tigers in Saturday's Final Four game. The Cougars rallied from behind against Duke to advance to the title game. The last time Florida competed for a national championship was in 2007 when they won back-to-back titles. The Cougars are looking for their first ever national title in program history. It'll be the 11th time 2 #1 seeds will meet in the championship game.
Here's Beckers. Her jumper is good.
Meanwhile, the University of Connecticut has won its 12th national championship with a dominant performance. The Yukon Huskies beat defending champion South Carolina 82-59 last night. Azzi Fudd and Sarah Strong led the way with 24 points each. It was also a big night for Paige Beckers. The guard capped her university career with 17 points and is expected to be the WNBA's top draft pick later this month. It's the Huskies' first championship since 2016.
Unanimous National League MVP, Shohei Ohtani. Looks like a movie star.
The Los Angeles Dodgers presented U.S. President Donald Trump with a jersey during a visit to the White House today. The team was there for a ceremony recognizing its 2024 World Series title.
Just ahead, an X-ray on SpaceX goes into orbit. Imagery that could make life in space and on Earth a little safer. A Waterloo Company's out-of-this-world mission coming up.
Now more than ever, Canadians need to know where our leaders stand. CTV News keeps you informed on the issues that hit home. This election, connect to Canada's most trusted news source, CTV News, now more than ever.
It's an out-of-this-world achievement for Canada.
A Waterloo company says it has taken the first ever X-ray image in space. The X-ray of an astronaut's hand used new technology developed at the University of Waterloo. KA Imaging's new X-ray detector was part of a mission to study the Earth's polar regions from space. It is being used to track the effects of space travel on astronauts. The detector creates clear images of X-rays and can measure an astronaut's bone density while in space.
Pretty cool. How are things here on Earth?
And not nearly that wild, but still pretty cool, quite literally. As the winds become northwesterly, it gets cold tonight, so put on the sweater. If you're heading out for a walk this evening, you will need probably your winter jacket, maybe the gloves, and that continues into the day tomorrow. But it is April, and this is just what happens this time of year, that battle between warm air and cold air. So watching for some passing showers into the early evening, the chance of some light flurries as those winds change heading into the early evening. Still seeing a number of weather statements. Some have dropped in towards Waterloo region, but for the most part, still looking at some lake effect snow impacting those typical communities. Now, sitting at 4 degrees here in the city, it's relatively mild for now. It gets cool tonight and into the day tomorrow. We sit below seasonal, but you know what? I'll take the sunshine all day.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. That's it for us, but Omar Setudina has you covered tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.